What about the big hoax that I see ongoing? They did it 3.5 years ago. They're doing it again. I heard it on local talk radio this morning. Yeah, Ron Paul's winning the straw polls and scientific polls in New Hampshire and Iowa. Normally the news would say that's the front runner. He's probably going to win. He would be catapulted into the absolute national lead, and Ron Paul would end up being the president. But the system has put out the talking point that all the little minions and compartmentalized people parrot. They're not even government agents. They just go with the flow, and they're saying Ron Paul can't win, Ron Paul can't win, Ron Paul can't win, Ron Paul can't win. The American people want somebody with better-looking hair like Rick Perry or Mitt Romney. Both of them literal Democratic operatives in the flesh. Oh, you didn't know Mitt Romney wrote the health care bill that was the model for Obama? You didn't know he supports global carbon taxes. You didn't know Newt Gingrich supports global carbon taxes and wrote the foreword to Alvin and Heidi Toffler's, well, 2 of their books, Calling for World Government. I've read the quotes here. Calling for world government and the end of national sovereignty, just like the former editor of Newsweek, Strobe Talbot, who then went to work for Clinton. I mean, they're all the same scum. Or oh, you're thinking we're Rick Perry, Al Gore's former campaign chairman in Texas for president. You mean him? Oh, you mean, by the way, I always get emails and comments going, I thought you were a liar. I went and looked that up about Rick Perry. Why haven't I heard that? You think I'm going to get up here and tell you he was the campaign chairman for Al Gore in his first presidential run when he was a senator in 1988? You think I'm going to get up here on the radio and lie to you? Consciously? I make little mistakes sometimes, but I'm not going to make a mistake about something like that. All right. I told you Rick Perry, well, I actually told you 3.5 years ago, it's an endgame, was going to run for president in the 2012 election. I told you 2 years ago he was going to claim he wasn't going to run and going to run. I told you when he made the pledge 6 months ago to not run in 2012, I said he's going to break that pledge. He plans to break it. He's piquing your interest, that he's the hero who is reluctant, and he's going to break that pledge tomorrow. You know, if you go with the opposite of whatever the establishment, media, and government says, you'll do pretty good. But I don't just go with whatever the opposite of what they say. That's a good rule. I mean, if you're going in the dark and they say go left, you go right. They say go up, you go down. They say zig, you zag. But I don't go off that. If I've got a split-second decision to make, I automatically don't believe them, and it always holds me in good stead. Because these are congenital psychopaths with an army of sociopaths that work for them. Social engineers that have lulled the general public into a deep trance, and so now they can get away with anything. Unless we wake people up out of their trance. But I'm going to be going over that. Ron Paul has won a big straw poll. ABC News is reporting. Ron Paul won with 44%, a super whopping victory, kind of like he had the second largest margin of victory in CPAC history this year, and Fox News dubbed booing over him being announced the winner. And you're like, oh, well, Fox News is they tried to lie to me, but that's okay. I like to be lied to. It's fun to have them try to manipulate me like I'm a monkey or something. It's kind of cute to be conned and to have somebody run over you. You know, a normal red-blooded man gets upset by con artists, gets upset by criminals, gets upset by bullies. Because if you don't have that instinct, your family, your tribe, your people have no future. America had the most red-blooded, most aggressive people who demanded the maximum level of liberty, so we got the maximum level of prosperity. But notice, as we get rid of our anti-establishment, untrustful attitude towards government, as we stopped being aggressive, suddenly all of our prosperity is burning up in front of our eyes. And the system's come out in the last 3 months in Newsweek, Time, and every other major publication I've looked at. I've walked into newsstands and just seen it, every 10th magazine. It's just everywhere. In the political section, it's every other headline. The Constitution's the problem. Get rid of it and you'll have prosperity. And you know what? The general public, a lot of them, are going to come and say, get rid of the Constitution, get rid of due process, do whatever the government says. They promise to bring it back. Yeah, like each banker bailout they promise to give you. Each banker bailout, they promise everything's going to be fixed right after you give us more power. And then you do it, and then things get worse. And now they've got a Star Chamber Committee of 13 up there who has created a new branch of government. And there isn't a big uproar because we've already been trained how to be slaves. We've already put up with wars without congressional approval and warrantless wiretapping. We've already put up with the government with a straight face saying, yeah, we ordered the torture of people, including children, in front of their parents, Washington Post. And then I was on the phone yesterday with an establishment writer from Slate. And that's why I refuse most interviews now with these people. Not because I can't intellectually deal with an argument with them, but I just don't have time for children. For children, when classical tyranny is pouring in all around us, the water is rising, and they're looking at you telling you everything's fine. They think it's a virtue to deny that we're in trouble. They think, like children, they control reality. They have magical thinking. That's why Oprah Winfrey pushing that stupid idea of The Secret was so popular, where you just imagine something and it happens. No, if you imagine it, and it's feasible, and you work on it, you may be able to manifest it. But it doesn't magically happen. Like you throw some dust in a fire, and there's a blue puff of smoke, and a Easter bunny appears. That doesn't work. And so people just think, well, I choose to not believe that things are this bad. I choose to believe we're not going into a depression, and that somehow that'll make it not be a depression. But I've been watching this. Ron Paul, we need to do a breakdown of it, has won around 2/3 of the straw polls in the last few months. And he won a whopping 44% of the unique voters. Herman Cain, 16, Michelle Bachmann, 10, Perry, 8, Pawlenty and Mitt Romney, 5%, Sarah Palin, 4%, someone else, 3%, Rick Santorum, 2%. But if you watch the news, you're told it's Rick Perry and the other Democratic operative, Mitt Romney. And, again, he's being hailed as our only hope. And yeah, I guess Al Gore's former chief of staff in Texas is our only hope. Okay. And he is actually from Texas. Folks around the country, for whatever reason, have kind of a romantic love affair with Texans. Most of your big newscasters, for some reason, end up being from Texas. I don't know why. But I guess he really wasn't born in Kennebunkport, Maine. Not bashing folks in Maine. They're great people. But I guess he's a Texan. I guess there's something real about him. That's about it. That's about it. And you know what? I'll be now called a communist. In fact, I've already been called a communist by the Dallas blog and others for not liking Rick Perry. I was called a right-wing hate monger for not liking Obama, and now I've got to get ready to be called a commie again. When I didn't like Clinton because he was a globalist operative, I was a right-wing extremist. And then Bush was in and continued the globalist agenda, and I was a communist. And now Obama's been in, and I've been an extreme right-winger. And now I've got to get ready to be a commie again. I thought I was a constitutionalist. I thought I was a realist. I thought I was somebody who actually studied reality and was into being informed and being a steward of my community and my family and trying to be a decent person. I thought that. But see, well, there's stereotypical labels, so I've got to get ready for that. The good news is people aren't buying this anymore. So Ron Paul won yet another straw poll. He's winning in almost all the polls in all the key states, Iowa, New Hampshire. But I turned on the radio, TV this morning, internet. Ron Paul can't win. Ron Paul can't win. It's like a race car driver who is half a circuit in front of everybody and he's gaining ground, and they're going, he can't win, he can't win. They're doing that because they're going to put some spikes up to blow his tires out, and they're going to steal the election from him. Well, then why do I support him if the elections are rigged? Because he's going to be able to educate people out there and further illustrate what's happening. And if there's a big enough landslide, the different analysis we've done and other experts have done, like Bev Harris, a black box voting, they're not going to be able to steal it if there's a landslide. So that's just some of the news. And obviously, I want to talk about Ron Paul. He keeps winning the major scientific polls and straw polls in the coveted creme de la creme, holy grail, ultimate paramount places, New Hampshire, Iowa. And it gets almost no media coverage. And then this mantra, he cannot win, he cannot win, he cannot win, when he's number 1, number 2, or number 3 in all polls going back 6 months. He could win. He could win. He could win. And he's warned people. He said, I'm not going to be able to fix everything because under the Constitution, I'm not a dictator. It's like the Ring of Sauron. Even if he was dictator and tried, it would create a horrible system. Even if you try to use command and control for good, it will not work. It doesn't work because the people he put under him to carry that out would not be upright, perfect individuals. Ron Paul isn't. But he's got a perfect voting record, never compromises. That is 1 in a million. But he said he could expose the Federal Reserve, he could get the people behind him and Congress behind him and really try to change things. And it could happen. And isn't it the way God works, that we're right here at this time of total collapse at the hands of the Federal Reserve? For 30-plus years, he's fought them. People are finally listening to him. Everything he's talked about is coming true. Right as he gets to the point of being able to win the presidency, the New World Order train rolls into the station, and everything we've talked about is coming true. And he's saying, do you choose me as the president? And the government's like, he cannot win, he cannot win, he cannot win. Ignore him. Too bad he's winning all the polls, or most of the polls and straw polls, because he cannot win. He goes to the high-powered CPAC Republican convention that Ronald Reagan and others won before becoming president. He wins it 2 years in a row. Fox dubs in old audio of booing. It's caught. When he gets up and says Republicans are anti-war, there's almost a complete standing ovation, breaking the illusion that Republicans are all a bunch of idiot warmongers. They're scared to death. And I heard these local talk shows this morning going, in between attacking yours truly, saying, oh, too bad he can't win, we like him. And every caller, I sat there for 30 minutes listening to the show. They probably took 10 calls. It's a call show. And every one of them said, I love Ron Paul, he can win. And they said, no, he can't. Every caller wanted him. But they're still pushing the illusion he can't win. We've got to break this hoax that he can't win. So I want to ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds?